Retention doesn't happen by accident, and it doesn't belong exclusively in HR. It's a powerful leadership system. Hello, I'm John Pike, and I've engineered retention systems that have saved countless millions of dollars and built incredible cultures. Today, I'll show you how to stop reacting to turnover and start designing companies that people simply do not want to leave. If you've read the other pillars, you've probably already seen the groundwork being laid for retention. That's not an accident. It's engineering. True retention isn't the result of employee appreciation days or reactive raises. It's what happens when every decision, from hiring to onboarding to coaching, is aligned with who a person is and how they personally grow and develop. Retention then isn't a standalone initiative. It's a downstream effect of upstream precision. The conventional wisdom tells us to react to turnover, to improve things like benefits, host a team event or team building session, offer additional training and development, or throw a bonus at the problem. But those are aftershocks. They don't address the root cause. We don't engineer culture around retention. We engineer systems that naturally retain the right people, not because we beg them to stay, but because we've designed an ecosystem where their best work feels inevitable and their growth feels exponential and they're fully engaged. This method is not conventional. It's not based on perks. It's not based on alignment. When your business is designed around self-awareness, role fit, behavioral coaching, cultural calibration, retention is no longer going to be your Achilles heel. What is retention engineering? Retention engineering is the proactive, systemic design of experiences, environments, and expectations that increase an employee's likelihood of not only staying, but also thriving. It's not about benefits. It's about precision. It links back to self-awareness as a service, so people understand their own value and wiring. Role optimization, so work aligns and is congruent with their innate abilities. Personalized onboarding, so emotional connection is created between them and their leader from day one. Behavior-based coaching, so growth is both personalized and observable. Simply put, retention engineering flips the script. It doesn't ask, how do we keep people happy? Rather, it asks what environmental, managerial, and psychological conditions need to be in place in order to make high performers stay, be engaged, and grow. The retention problem. Conventional retention strategies assume that benefits, culture events, or incremental raises are sufficient. That's a cop-out. Science contradicts this. Misalignments, whether at the level of values, roles, communication patterns, or psychological safety, create stress and friction and disengagement. Gallup research shows teams misaligned with expectations sees 12% higher turnover and 18% lower productivity. Left unaddressed, disengagement becomes attrition and talent pipelines dry up. Even your best performers can become flight risks. Retention engineering avoids this trap by using the first 10 pillars as a foundation. From hiring to coaching, every stage is designed with human consistency and meaning. Once that architecture is in place, attrition isn't random. It's predictable and preventable. In most organizations, retention is treated like a lagging indicator, something you react to after someone leaves. Exit interviews, stay bonuses, or culture committee meetings are thrown together to solve a problem that's already happened. But by then, it's too late. The damage has been done and the signals have been missed. Engineering loyalty isn't manipulation, it's stewardship. There's a big difference. Some may hear retention engineering and flinch. Shouldn't people stay because they want to, not because we designed for it? Exactly, that's the point. The best systems don't trap, they inspire. Retention engineering isn't about handcuffs, it's about clarity. When your culture is aligned to how people are wired to thrive, they don't want to leave. Not because they feel stuck, but because they feel seen, understood, and valued. Retention is the outcome of alignment. In our system, retention is not a surprise. It's the natural outcome or byproduct of hiring with objectivity and precision with time-tested science, coaching according to a person's natural strengths, abilities, and talents that most of the time they're not even aware of, leading with clarity, and designing with data. When you treat retention as an outcome, not a key performance indicator, you realize it's not about locking people in. It's about creating a company so aligned with each person's individual strengths, growth path, and human design that they simply wouldn't dream of going anywhere else, even if they're offered more money, because they're becoming their best selves by staying, and they are being validated, and they're also fulfilled at the highest levels. This is retention engineering, and it's one of the most important strategic capabilities in any growth stage business. Managerial ownership, not a human resources babysitting. Too many organizations outsource retention to HR, but true retention is driven by frontline leadership. That's why we train managers to be able to understand and interpret these psychometric assessments so that they can better retain people. They can spot early signs of disengagement. They can modify and adjust their leadership style to the motivational core of each team member. They can host stay conversations quarterly, where the goal isn't to retain through fear, but through clarity, coaching, and connection. This shifts the accountability for retention from a department to a discipline shared across the leadership ecosystem. We don't believe retention is an HR function. We believe it's an engineering discipline, one that begins on day one and is architected across every stage of the employee lifecycle. What makes retention engineering different? First of all, flight risk identification. Using periodic psychometric pulses to identify team members whose engagement is waning or those whose wiring is misaligned with their role or manager. Systematic interventions, crafting personalized retention strategies, realignment, reskilling, repurposing, or redesigning roles based on that data. Engineering culture, not incentives. Ensuring that belonging, mastery, autonomy, and purpose are embedded in daily workflows, not just in HR slogans. Predictive, not reactive. Acting before disengagement manifests instead of reacting post-exit. Most businesses treat retention as a black box. People leave and the explanations are shallow. Better offer, burnout, or wasn't the right fit. But when analyzed correctly, retention follows patterns. People leave because of consistent friction, a misaligned role, misunderstood motivations, poor feedback loops, lack of perceived growth, absence of relational connection, and the most prevalent of all is a leader that just doesn't understand them. All these are measurable. All of them are engineerable. Start with the exit before they exit. Instead of waiting for resignations, retention engineering begins with a reverse engineered exit interview. Ask, what kind of environment would cause this person to disengage? What behaviors would signify early drift? What unmet expectations would cause them to question staying? From this, You build a retention profile, a proactive model of what each individual needs in order to stay committed, engaged, and thriving. Every manager gets access to these profiles as part of their coaching toolkit. Every person has a different stickiness signal, that internal experience that makes them feel this is the right place for them and this is where I want to continue to be. Some need autonomy. Others need stability. Some want mentorship. Others crave visibility. A retention plan is definitely not a one-size-fits-all. It's a personal blueprint of what fuels long-term contribution. In short, it's meeting each unique individual where they are and what's meaningful to them. Strategic retention moments. Some moments matter much more than others. Retention engineering identifies key inflection points that must be handled with a significant amount of care. End of ramp. When someone transitions from onboarding to full productivity. Year one. When the novelty wears off and deeper alignment must set in. Post-promotion. When identity shifts and expectations increase. Life transitions. When external stressors affect performance or presence. Rather than leaving these moments to chance, our system flags them automatically in your dashboard. This allows managers to prepare, to personalize, and respond not reactively, but strategically. Psychological safety isn't a buzzword, it's a system. Retention is deeply emotional. People stay in places where they feel safe to grow, to fail, and to speak. Retention engineering embeds this into daily rhythms. Regular pulse checks tailored to their communication style, team rituals that normalize feedback and celebration, strength plan reviews to re-anchor people in their uniqueness, wiring-based conflict resolution protocols to avoid relational drift. These aren't extra steps. They're infrastructure of a culture where people just don't stay. They're energized. Inboarding for the long haul. Just like we use personalized onboarding for new hires, we use inboarding to re-engage and re-enlist the full energy and effort and talent of current team members. If it's been 6+ months since their last strength review, they're due for a recalibration. This isn't remedial, it's proactive maintenance of motivation. Inboarding helps people course correct before disengagement sets in. It reminds them why they were hired, how they've grown, and where they're headed next. Simply put, it provides them with direction. It prevents high performers from quietly plateauing, and instead, it reignites performance cycles with intention. Systemic alignment, the silent driver of retention. Before someone leaves your company, they disconnect. From role clarity, from purpose, from potential. Retention just isn't a question of motivation. It's a question of alignment. The most sustainable, scalable retention systems don't rely on counter offers or additional benefits or ping pong tables. They ensure that every part of the business, from how you hire to how you coach, is structurally aligned and personalized to keep top talent growing in place. Alignment is what turns retention from a reaction into a design. It transforms disjointed people programs into an integrated ecosystem where every touch point reinforces their sense of belonging, their performance, their potential, and their value. And that alignment must happen on 2 levels. Stakeholder alignment. Retention engineering demands a shared mindset. It's not just HR's job to hold the culture while everyone else focuses on outcomes. In high-performing companies, retention is leadership, and alignment starts at the top. To build systemic retention into the business operating model, here are some suggestions. Train leaders and managers to not only understand and interpret the psychometric trends, but also to know what the implications are for their strengths and how to have powerful conversations and communications with each of their people. Hold calibration forums across departments to compare flight risk indicators, leadership notes, and role fit friction in real time. Equip HR with not just policies, but with predictive benchmarks, wiring insights, and escalation playbooks to act early, not late. Ensure senior leadership uses consistent language around development, growth paths, and team mobility. This all helps to create clarity that careers evolve within the company, not outside of it. When every leader owns the alignment system, not just HR, retention becomes a natural byproduct of good leadership. Candidate to employee alignment. Retention doesn't begin when someone wants to leave. It begins when they arrive. That's why the bridge between hiring and development must be seamless. True alignment connects the candidate journey to the employee experience. Precision hiring sets the trajectory. Personalized onboarding accelerates it. Behavior-based coaching sustains it, but alignment is what ensures none of these operate in silos. Psychometric data isn't locked in a hiring file. It flows directly into onboarding dashboards, coaching notes, and performance reviews. Managers receive flight risk indicators before the hire is finalized, so they start day one with eyes open instead of fingers crossed. Retention rhythms are baked into onboarding, so from the first conversation, new hires understand how their growth will be supported. Development conversations start before the ramp is complete, positioning growth not as a reward, but as a responsibility. This level of continuity transforms hiring from a handoff into a hand-in. Every role, every leader, every system reinforces the message. You're not just here to fill a seat. You're here to build a legacy. And we're here to support you and build it alongside you. Why retention engineering matters. Retention is often framed as an emotional issue, employee satisfaction, morale, or loyalty. But in a performance-based system, retention is operational infrastructure. It has real, measurable implications across every facet of the business. Economic cut. Every voluntary exit costs the business, depending on what source you're looking at, anywhere from 1x to 12x that person's salary in lost time, rehiring, ramp up, opportunity cost, and momentum. Engineering retention means engineering savings, real dollars preserved and reinvested. Operational continuity. When key performers stay, typically clients stay, pipelines move forward without disruption, institutional knowledge remains intact, culture remains coherent. The machine doesn't lurch every time someone exits. It runs. Employer brand. In a competitive talent landscape, people talk. A high retention culture becomes a recruiting magnet. Candidates ask, what's the average tenure here? The answer tells them everything they need to know about leadership, opportunity, and fulfillment. Scalable systems. For owner-operators and entrepreneurs especially, retention is the bridge to freedom. When leaders are not constantly backfilling roles, fielding exit interviews, or plugging morale leaks, they reclaim their strategic bandwidth. They stop being the gatekeeper and start being the architect. Some final thoughts. Retention as liberation. Retention engineering isn't persuasion, it's precision design. It's not about scrambling to convince people to stay. It's about architecting a system so compelling, connected, and aligned, putting the human dimension first and personalizing it so that they wouldn't dream of dare wanting to leave. It's about removing the friction that drives them away and reinforcing the clarity that keeps them aligned. By this stage in the system, every prior pillar, diagnostics, hiring, onboarding, role optimization, leadership coaching, they converge into a unified, holistic, comprehensive, and compelling experience. Not a patchwork, rather, more like a symphony. Employees stay when their work matches their wiring, their growth path feels personal and possible, their leader speaks their motivational language and communication preferences, their environment reinforces clarity, safety, and trust. When these elements are designed, as opposed to left to chance, you no longer have to beg people to stay. They choose to stay. And as an entrepreneur, executive, or leader, this is where true freedom begins. Not when your calendar clears, but when your company holds without you. When talent sticks, culture compounds, and you're no longer the retention strategy. That's the power of engineered retention. Not to control people, but to design a system that they simply don't want to leave.